Today we're going to divide integers using integer chips. So we're going to start with yellow is positive and red is negative. First thing we're going to do is lay out our first number, so -6. I'm going to lay out -6 or 6 red chips, 6 negative chips, and I want to divide that into two groups. So I have one group and two groups, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And when I divide -6 into two groups, each group has 3 red chips. That means each group has -3. So -6 divided into two groups is -3 in each group. Let's look at our next problem. I have -6 and I need to divide it into 3 groups. So I have one group, two groups, 3 groups, one group, two groups, 3 groups. I have -6 chips and I've divided it into 3 groups, and in each group there are 2 red chips. So -6 divided into 3 groups is -2 in each group. Let's look at a different problem. I'm going to have +6 divided into 2 groups. So I have 6 positive counters, and I'm going to divide them into 2 groups. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, 5, 6. That gives me 3 positive counters in each group. Let's make this a little bit harder. So I'm going to take -6 and I want to put this into -2 groups. Well, I can't have negative groups. So I'm going to take -6 and I'm going to put it into the opposite of 2 groups. So we'll pretend like that minus sign isn't there. And the first thing I'm going to do is take -6 and put it into 2 groups. I have 1 and 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 3. So -6 divided into 2 groups is -3 in each group. Now, because this is a -2, I want the opposite of that, so I'm going to flip my chips to the opposite of negative, and that gives me a +3 in each group. So to reiterate, I started with -6 and I divided it into 2 groups. There were -3 in each group. Because this is a -2, I want the opposite of each group, so I will flip the chips to get the opposite of -2. Let's look at the last one. I have +6 and I want to put it into the opposite of 3 groups. So I have +6 and I want to divide it into the opposite of 3 groups. I'm going to pretend like that minus sign isn't there. I'm going to put 6 into 3 groups. 6 into 3 groups. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So I have 6 divided into 3 groups. Now I want the opposite of 3 groups, so I'm going to flip everything over. There's the opposite of 1 group, the opposite of 2 groups, and now the opposite of 3 groups. So 6 divided by the opposite of 3 groups means that each group has 2 negatives in one group.